Hello and welcome everyone to the main event. I'm Meeta Sani and I'm really pleased to be joined by our guest today, Baiju Solanki. Hi, Baiju.
Hello, Meeta. How are you?
Really well, thank you.
Excited about this.
Thanks for coming on board. It's really exciting to have you as our guest today.
No, looking forward to it. You've been telling me that, these webinars are really quite interactive and also get a lot of value out of it. So, yeah. I'm looking forward to contribute today.
Brilliant. Well, I'm going to start with a bit of housekeeping. So for everyone that's been here before, you'll have heard of this. You'd have heard all this before, so please bear with me. But today, Baiju and I are going to be talking everything performance management related. We're covering 4 different areas. We're covering how to create an accountability culture without micromanaging. We're going to be talking about 5 impact proclivities that make up a game-changing team. We're going to be talking about aligning business values with personal values, and we're going to have a bit of a Q&A. So thank you already for everyone that's said hello in the chat box. It really is as simple as this. I'm typing a hello now. And the more interactive it is, if there's something there that you want us to cover that we haven't outlined, please put it in the chat box, give us your comments, and Baiju and I will make sure that we do our best to cover it. What I would also say is that we always try to keep these sessions about 40 to 45 minutes because we know time is precious. But if for any reason you do have to go, or you want to watch this recording after, or share it with one of your members of your organization, we will send you a recording for it. So don't feel like you need to take any notes. We can send you the follow-up recording as well. And you'll also have all of Baiju's and my contact details there. Baiju and I are very, very much about helping our community. That's why we're doing this today. We understand how lonely it is as a business leader and a manager. Very often you think you're supposed to have all the answers, but you don't. And I can safely say that I'm sitting here not only as a fan of Baiju, but also as a client. We've worked with Baiju for the last 3 months for our senior leadership team. So hopefully whilst we're going through today, Baiju, I can give some of my own personal positive outcomes about the work we've been doing with you so far.
Yeah, that'd be great. Fantastic. Super.
Right. So final bit of housekeeping, everyone. And I think a lot of you have already seen, but we have a poll, as we always do, just to get a feel for the room and what your challenges are in particular to make sure we cover those. So the question today is around what area of performance are you seeing the most challenges of your team? What area around performance in your team do you see the most challenges? So we've got accountability as one of the options. So that really is about understanding what their role is and then driving themselves to achieve that and their targets. Productivity, I guess you would say, is pace, Baiju, and just getting things done.
Yeah, exactly. It's being productive, and sometimes people confuse that, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah. And then team culture, obviously, with all of the best laid plans, if we don't have a team that are aligned and understand each other, then that can often create friction, which affects team performance. And then I've put in their senior leadership challenges because ultimately it has to be a theme and a culture that is propagated through every layer of the organization, as senior leadership absolutely have to be leading by example. So please give us your thoughts. I can already start seeing the numbers moving there. But without further ado, we've got a lot to cover. So Baiju, where would we start? Talking about performance management, the work you do. I met you at one of our networking events and I feel like you were talking to me. But I think everyone in the room felt like you were talking to them that day.
Yeah. Think we perform. My background's in sports psychology, and the reason I mention that is think about sport.
Yeah,
we know what success looks like.
Yeah, for example, it's very tangible.
It's very tangible. In football, more goals. If you score more goals, that's the only metric that matters in football. In golf, fewer shots. In cricket, more runs or wickets.
Yeah.
Tennis, points or sets. So we know what success looks like. So then we can define performance. It's like, okay, how do we need to perform in order to achieve that metric? Okay.
Yeah.
So think about business or in life, if you like, it is what are we aiming for? Do we know what success looks like? Now in business, you might say, okay, the ultimate metric is profit or sales or revenue, which is great. But then you've got indicators below that contribute to that. For example, how accountable the team is, like we mentioned, your level of productivity and the consistency around that. We talk about their team culture. When we talk about senior leadership, is the communication between them. So all those factor into what success looks like.
Yeah.
So think about sport. If they're not sitting at half time saying, what do we do, guys? Oh, we need to score more goals. Well, yeah, We know that's not the discussion. The discussion is what's our game plan?
Yeah.
What's our role?
Specifics.
It's the very specific. It's how we're going to execute when we get on the field of play. And we know each other's roles, and there's communication there, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about any sort of performance, what hinders performance is what's the interference. So say, imagine you're on a football team or a cricket team, and we just talk about, right, you're a left back, you're a striker, just go and score more goals. And there's no coordination about our game plan. You can all go on the field and running around like headless chickens. Oh, well, I'm doing my part. I'm playing left back. I'm playing outfield. I'm a striker. I'm up there. You're not doing your job. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, the analogy I've often thought about is when you watch kids play football, they all just run after the ball. There's no strategy of you're covering that area. And you know what? I know you're going to align it with business, but it's so obvious. And yet so many organizations don't take the time to actually make sure that people understand that.
Yeah. And it's all different, because if you think about, just take football, take Premier League, there's 20 teams in the Premier League, but each one have had their own game plan. The goal is the same. We all want to score more goals in a game. Yeah. If we score more goals than them, we win. But each one have their different tactics based on their talent, based on their skill set. Some teams can play in a certain way. And if you're familiar with football, if you try and play that team, you haven't got the skill set there. So adopt accordingly. So understand that. So when we talk about accountability, productivity, and these things, it's not one size fits all. You've got to understand. That's why we're going to talk about the different proclivities later on. So performance for me is, how do you reach your potential? So performance is your potential minus interference. Okay. So what's one's interference? Yeah. And there's 3 types of interference. There's the interference in your head. Am I good enough? I use the word busy, which we'll talk about in a minute. There's not enough time in the day for all the things I've got to get done. Yeah. I doubt myself, or actually I'm not clear on my goal. I know I got instruction from my leader, but I don't want to disturb them. And then you try and make it up. So then you're not performing as well, because you're not clear on the action. And then then there's an issue around performance, because, well, hang on, the communicator wasn't well, or the plan wasn't clear. So performance is all about what's in the way of reaching your potential. And when we talk about the webinars and how does it meet empowerment, what is empowerment? You feel completely in one in terms of executing, that you've got no doubt that the outcome's going to be great, or the outcome's going to be what you want it to be.
Do you know that word empowerment for me? I think I added that into when you and I were talking about how we're going to present this out to the world. In the invite, I wanted to bring empowerment in, because I think there's 2 types of organizations. There's the micromanaging type of organization, which is probably going back to the 1950s of, this is your job, this is your little space that you do the work in, and literally you're like a puppet. You do exactly what you're told, then it's checked that it's done, and then you're either praised or you're admonished for achieving target or not. And it was so prescriptive. And yet when we look at the world now, we're in the talent game here, we're helping people find great people for their companies and great careers for people. Nobody wants to be in a job where they have to be controlled and micromanaged. So ultimately, it's having an environment that gives people the tools, the clarity, and then the support to be empowered and then go and deliver. It's I call it supporting. So as a manager, we will support them rather than them report to us. Yeah. So it completely shifts the responsibility as well. Yeah. But it's easier said than done.
It is, because that's like a show and tell culture. Yeah. Show them, this is how we've done it and it works. I'm going to tell you now what to do, and just copy. And that's the old school way. Yeah. But empowerment is like, tell him it's important to focus on the what and the why. So again, taking sport, what do we want to do? Score more goals. Why? Well, if we do, we win the game. Okay. Yeah. In business, what do we want to achieve? Revenue targets, number of sales, whatever it is. Why is part of the mission vision. Then you've got to empower the team around the how and the when, right? Yeah. The how and the when. So you, as a coach and a mentor and a leader, is you're there to create a culture that they're empowered to do the how. Now you might say, well, if I know how, why can't I just show them? Well, you can, but there's it's like giving them a fish so they can eat once. So, but this is where leaders have to create a culture where it's okay to fail. Yeah. They embrace failure. I don't know if you watched just recently, whether you're interested in cricket or not, in England beat India on a test match last week. And why is that significant? India haven't lost a home test match they've only lost 3 times in 36 games, right?
Right.
But Ben Stokes, the leader, he had 3 doctrines. He goes, take the scoreboard out of the equation. So when you're confronted with the task right now, the scoreboard, we've got to be cautious because we're losing. So let's be cautious, right? Take the scoreboard based on this current situation. What do you need to do to execute the best outcome?
Yeah.
Second thing is he detached emotionally from the outcome. Because don't worry whether what you're about to do, you might get hit or you might not get a wicket. Is do what you think is best for the ability. So imagine in a business situation, you're ringing someone up to do a sales conversation. You're worried about, what if they say no? What if they no? Detach yourself. Focus on what you believe you need to have a conversation to present the value. And detach yourself whether they say yes, no, maybe, whatever.
Sure.
And
you just engage authentically. Yeah.
Exactly. And trust whatever they say that you can respond. And the third thing he said is take the fear of failure out. So he said, look, if they play a shot that in old school, that was irresponsible, that shot, look at the state of the game. We want them to be expansive. So there'll be another, because if we say we shouldn't have played that shot, another game, that's the right shot. But because they're thinking, oh my God, they told me off. So you've got to create an environment. Talk about team culture. You've got to create an environment team where somebody feels, if I fail, I'm not going to be chastised. However, I will be coached around it. What could you do better? So we look at clues about how to improve. So are you setting your team up for failure, whereby you're thinking, actually, failure is not an option? Now, I get all that doctrine, but when you're free to perform, you're more likely to succeed. But don't create a culture where they're fearful of making a mistake.
They say that a lot of the happiest environments for people to work in and most successful, fastest growing, actually, one of the growth factors is about trying lots of things, keeping what works and just letting go of what doesn't. No, oh my God, that failed. But you know what? This is part of our process for success, is trying different things. And just that, like removing that pressure, I think just allows people to flourish a little bit and have a voice at the table, not just a seat, feel part of the journey, and that you'll get so much more from them.
Absolutely. What I also want to make sure is that people walk away from this webinar with some practical things they can apply away, right? So
that's one of our promises for the main event.
100%. So we talked about accountability, productivity, and team culture, and I see like a third, productivity, and all of these aren't mutually exclusive. One feeds into the other. If someone's more productive, then some sort of accountability at some level is working. If people are accountable, the team culture is working. So they're not mutually exclusive. And I talk about the first domino. So when we're thinking about an area that doesn't work, I always talk about what's the first domino you need to address. So let's say there's an issue around one team member not being productive. There's a pattern whereby everything is just too, they're not enough, and they've got a good excuse, right?
People come and say, they're not pulling their weight, they're just cruising.
Whatever, right?
Yeah, and it's intangible, isn't it? It's often very difficult to see where
Exactly. And we try and solve the whole problem. So I often work with leaders. I say, well, what's the first domino we need to address? And it might be to really understand what's going in their head. So it might be, I don't want to trying to make them better. Listen to them, and create an environment where you can have a conversation. It might be a difficult conversation where you find out from their perspective what they think is missing, right? And they might say, actually, I wasn't sure about the task, or I did something, but I was so afraid of failing, I didn't know what to do. So it's understanding the first domino. And I've got 2 practical examples which I've used you guys around productivity and accountability, which you can talk about.
Well, that would be good. Well, listen, why don't we dive into it? Because if you think about anyone in the room today, there's no 2 challenges are going to be the same. Somebody's watching this afterwards and they're thinking, am I going to walk away with my solution? You've just hit the nail on the head, Baiju, that everything is inextricably linked. And it's, as you said, it's the domino effect in a negative way, but also a positive way.
Absolutely,
like one of the things I learned from working with you is you can make really small changes, but the effect of one small adjustment that you do consistently well inside out reframes your whole perspective of yourself, your team.
Absolutely.
And we haven't talked about senior leadership. That is one of the poll options, and it is the lowest one in here. So hopefully, that means it's not as big a challenge. But it's really hard for people to work in an environment where they're told what to do, but they don't see their senior leadership lead by example.
Exactly. So if you're on this webinar and you lead a team, doesn't matter what level you're at, whether you're middle management, senior management, CEOs, whatever level, the principles are the same. I have this doctrine whereby managers give answers, leaders ask questions, right? So in the context of, so let's take productivity, for example, right? The great answer, the common answer is I'm busy. You know, I'm busy, right? So we've talked about this, right? So one of our agreements, which I've put to you and your team, is you're not allowed to use the word busy.
That's
you
right.
Can't use the word busy.
Yeah.
Because I often say, when you think about the word busy, invariably, what's the emotion or what's the feeling that comes up? So when I asked you that question, Mita, what was it for you?
Usually overwhelm or not enough headspace or just not enough organization. And it's a lazy word, busy, isn't it? It's just like a blanket. No. But
exactly.
Yeah.
And they say, well, how you been? Yeah, I've been really busy. Oh, did you do that? Oh, no, sorry, I've been really busy. So this is when I go granular.
People used to carry it as a badge of honor. Oh, I'm so busy. My calendar's so busy.
Exactly. So I never use the word, I'm never busy. I don't use the word busy. And I tell my clients, this is the one word I won't accept, because then we go granular. So say someone says I'm really busy. I say, okay, well, busy doing what if we're talking about this thing? And you start going granular, and you only have to do that once or twice. And you start to analyze, actually, they're not really busy. They're probably not as efficient in their time, or they're doing tasks that are not necessarily things that should be doing. They need to be done, but they're not important. So I talk about, instead of saying busy, right, every single day, I said, well, what do you do? What would today look like to win the day?
Yeah.
Right. When you wake up, what's the winning day look like? And one of the tactics and strategies I've used with you and your team is setting micro goals.
Yeah.
But micro goals is a very specific way. You know, people on this webinar have probably set SMART goals, you know, specific, measurable, attainable.
Yeah.
And they've probably heard of, you know, big, hairy arse goals, you know, those sort of big vision ones, right?
Yeah.
So and those types of goals are great. The thing with goal setting is when you set a goal, 9 times that, well, every time you want to meet the goal. Because when you meet the goal, 2 things occur. One, you move the needle on the thing. So whatever the thing you're doing, the needle moves along. There's progress. There's productivity.
Positive progress.
The second thing that occurs when you achieve a goal is you just feel good, right?
Yeah.
So when we have to-do lists and goals whereby you don't achieve it, one, you don't move the needle, and second, there's an element of that feel good. Yeah. So micro goals, as I've said with you, Mita, is a great productivity tool. And one thing I set with my clients is have 3 specific criteria. Criteria number 1, it's measurable. So I know what success looks like. It's a number, right? You know, I'm going to spend an hour doing X. I'm going to make 3 calls. I'm going to write 500 words. It's tangible.
Yeah.
The second criteria of a micro goal, it has to be able to be completed in one day. Yeah. So you can't set a goal, which means actually it'll be done today, but then it will overlap tomorrow. And the third most critical aspect of a micro goal is that you're totally in control. Yeah. So get this, if you've got something that's measurable, something that's completed within one day and totally control, you're guaranteed to achieve it.
Yeah.
So give me an example of a micro goal that you set daily, you know, that we do.
Well, I very often make sure that one of my micro goals is to always follow up meetings with an email and a next action, because so often it's very easy to pack your calendar back to back to back. You get through the day and you look and you think, oh, I can't remember what I said I was going to do there, or you don't engage with the client or internal or external. So what I realized was it's not just what you're doing in the room, it's the bookends of it as well. So let's play this example out.
Let's say you wake up in the morning, you realize actually you went to an event and whatever, and you've got 50 people that you want to follow up, right?
Yeah.
Now, then I'll ask you a question, Raka. To win today, how many of those would you want to follow up on?
Yeah, I'd say I want to follow up with 10. Right. So that would look like emailing.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it might be an email or WhatsApp or whatever it is, LinkedIn connection, right? Yeah. So a micro goal would be, I'm gonna connect with 10 people from that event. Yeah. That's it. It's the part of that goal is not about whether they reply, whether you set a meeting up, because you're totally in control of that.
Yeah. Right? It's the action I can take.
Right. The next day might be, of those 10, I'm going to ring 5 of those up.
Yeah.
The micro goal is I'm just going to dial the number. I'm not going to have 5 conversations, because to have 5 conversations means you need one of them to, hello.
Yes.
Right.
Which we have no control over.
Which we have no control over. So the idea is whatever I set, I'm going to achieve. And these are micro goals to move the business along. And this is not your complete to-do list.
No.
right? This is just your measure. What's the minimum I need to achieve today to win the day? That's it.
Yeah. And
they have to be work related. They could be, we talk about going for a walk for an hour or taking some time out. So you've got to decide what winning the day is.
Indeed, because everyone has their own set of wins and challenges. I know for myself and our senior leadership team, we wanted to trial this with us before we wanted to sort of put it out to the rest of the organization. And I just think that the beauty of that, and one of the things you touched on, was that it's very personal to you. So you can share your micro goal with your teammate and you can have two completely different job roles. But because you've said that you're going to be accountable to these 3 things today for you, that person's will be 3 things for them. All you're doing really is acknowledging, supporting, and then being accountable to each other. And also at the end of the day, as you said, Baiju, just that repeat approach of I'm setting out my intentions. I've achieved my intentions. Somebody has acknowledged that I've achieved my intentions. You have a little spring in your step, and then you repeat. And before you know it, you don't just approach the micro goals like that. You start approaching everything. So it's a mindset shift.
Yeah.
And you couldn't tell someone that you're going to get to that point. You just start with the micro goals, but over time, it's very powerful.
It is very powerful. Because imagine you have that intention set on a Monday and you achieve your micro goals. By Wednesday evening, you've done 9 things.
Yeah.
Complete.
Yeah.
How many people, I'm sure there's people on this webinar, you can maybe just put a little thumbs up emoji to let me know that you've ended the day feeling busy, doing stuff, but you feel I've not really achieved much.
Yeah.
Right.
I've been busy all day. What have I done?
Yeah. What have I actually achieved? Because there might be something incomplete, or you set a goal which requires somebody else to send you something, or them require, and then you have this great intention of completing this project, but because so-and-so didn't send you those figures by 11 o'clock, those 2 hours you put aside to complete the report, you couldn't do. Yeah. And then you end up doing mundane, push the paper clip here and another paper there, before you know it, you have a long lunch and nothing's done.
I've just practiced the emoji. It does work. So let's see what everyone out there is.
So give me your favorite emoji if you experience that. So productivity is something can sometimes overcomplicated, right? Because we get overwhelmed. We look at a to-do list and we try and do, there's this notion we try and do too much in a short space of time and underestimate we can achieve a lot in a long space of time. So if you set small, tangible, intentional tasks each day, you can get so much done in a week.
Yeah.
So much done. So I'm not busy.
Break it down.
You break it down. So that's why when someone says, "Are you busy?" Well, not, because what busyness comes from is you look at your day. 9 o'clock Zoom meeting, 10 o'clock sending emails, 11 o'clock you got a leadership meeting, 12 o'clock you got to meet a client, 1 o'clock lunch, and then 2 o'clock you got it. So what happens is in your mind you look at all those things in your diary and you join them up.
Yeah.
And then you look, I've got a busy day. No, this morning we were at a networking event, didn't we? Right? Yeah. So we got there, whatever. We had a bit of a networking. The speaker did his thing. We listened to the speaker, a bit of Q&A, a bit more networking. We've come here. We're doing this webinar. After this, you've got a couple of meetings. I've got another meeting. I've got 2 more meetings. Then I'm going to the football tonight. So people think, you had a busy day, Baiju. No, I just did what I did.
Yeah.
I did whatever I did. I'm not choosing not to feel busy. I'm choosing to be productive in each point.
Yeah. It comes back to that almost what we talk about in well-being, about mindfulness and being present, is being able to just, if you plan your day, you can stay in the moment because you know what's coming next. So you've almost got that comfort of where I'm at. And for managers, I think one of the biggest challenges is that, we start with this intention of, listen, let's have a one-to-one, start with once a week. Maybe it needs to be every other week. And sometimes they become really just functional, hi, how's it going? Yeah, you're right. Any problems? No. But actually, if you can start to drill down in those catch-ups as well, first of all, a wellness check-in. How are you doing? How's life? I think as a leader, you've got to be holistic. You've got to look at the person as an employee and what they're achieving, but you also want to understand what's going on for them. If there's something that might be creating that friction, as we talked about, interference. Absolutely. And then also sometimes they've got familial responsibilities or they need to move around their times. And we're working in a hybrid world. So people are more conscious about, well, I'm in today, so I can't do any of that, or I'm at home today, so I don't want to be on the phone too much. But actually, if managers understand each of their employees and what makes up their holistic journey and who they are, they can really support them in creating that accountability without people feeling under pressure. It becomes a tool instead of a requirement, you know.
Absolutely. And I want to talk about accountability, because accountability, how you set up accountability culture is a bit like sales. You know, people talk about sales or how do I close? It's never about the close, it's about how you set the sale up.
Yeah.
And for accountability, it's never about the question, oh, have you done that thing that you promised? It's how you set that up, and first of all. But before I go through that, I want to share some slides, and because we talked about strengths of individuals, and understanding how to build what I call a game-changing team. So I'm just gonna, I don't know if you can I get an emoji thumbs up? Can you see a slide, guys? Can you just give me people who are attending the webinar? We can see it. I know me and Meeting because we're presenters.
Yeah, we can see it.
Make sure the attendees give me a little emoji.
We've got quite a few attendees in the room, so
I can see. I can quit, and I got Claire, Lenka, Ellie, Helen, Katrine. Got a few here. Just give us an emoji, couple of people that you can see the slides. That'll be really helpful for us. I'm sure you can, but that'll be great if you can. There's little fantastic, Lenka. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Pretty, thank you so much. Great. So, they're all look at it. They're all there now. Jennifer,
we've woken everyone up.
Michelle, lovely. Who's going to miss that? Bavisha, fantastic. Thank you so much for.
Thanks, guys.
So we talked about strengths, and again, there's a profiling tool that I use. It's not around personality, but around impact. It's called the GC Index, which I've used with you guys.
Yes.
So this is what we call the GC Index, and what it talks about is about the 5 proclivities, the strengths that make up a game-changing team. So think about, again, going back to the sport analogy, right? Is Harry Kane a world-class player? Yes, as long as he plays as a striker. But if you put him in goal, it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a car crash. And there's no different in business, right? Is we got values and roles or purpose and value, etc. And you have skill sets, but it's understanding the proclivities. So let me give you an example here of where this sits. So if you look at this grid here, the 4 is when we start to make people decisions. There's usually 3 areas we look at: the expertise of the individual. So let's take your game of recruitment, right? So say you want to hire a new recruiter, a senior recruiter. So you might say the expertise, right? Have they done recruitment before, right? Are they expert in this type of placement? Number 1. The second criteria meter, because you're looking for someone senior, you might want someone who's had 10 years experience. So you look at their experience, right? And then often when we choose to build our team, we might use something like DISC or MBTI or some of those profiles that essentially measure personality. What's their communication style? Introvert, extrovert, the high C, high D, etc. Right? Because then we get an idea of their personality character makeup. Going back to the sporting analogy, does anybody here know whether Harry Kane's an introvert or an extrovert, or whether he's no? What we do know is if we put him in the right position, that's where he can make the maximum impact. So what the GC Index measures is that 4th quadrant of impact. So if I go back to the slide here, there's 5 different proclivities. You've got the game changer, and you see the outer circle. The game changer is their natural flow of making an impact in a team is coming up with great ideas. Then you've got the strategist, the blue. The strategist not only comes up with great ideas, but can make sense of them. They can start mapping out a plan around how to make someone's goofy idea into a reality. Then you've got the implementer. This is the doer. This is like, imagine like you've got a project, building a building. The architect is the game changer. The strategist is maybe the sort of the
project manager or something.
Project manager, and then the implementer are the builder, the scaffolders, the sparky, the plumbers. The polisher in that scenario is like the interior designer. They make it look good at the end. The playmaker in the middle is a bit like the project manager. They don't look like doing anything. It's like the conductor
in an orchestra.
And you as senior leaders, you sort of make sure that all the moving parts. So what the GC Index measures, because we did it on you and your team, is you come up with a score and a proclivity around whether you're a game changer strategist. And then you start to see actually this then dictates a communication style. So a game changer strategist is always about ideas. So if they're in a team meeting, is if you've come up with an idea and this team meeting is about implementing an idea, you don't want the game changer there. You've done your work. Let us implementers and polishers get on with implementing stuff.
Just on that, Baiju, we often talk about organizing. People say, sometimes I feel like we're just having meetings for the sake of meetings. But you've hit the nail on the head. It's about having clarity of what the objective of that meeting is, what people you actually need in the room and being specific rather than just, right, let's have a team meeting. Because for the people that it relates to, they'll see the value in it, as opposed to the ideas versus the strategist.
Yeah, and depending on the stage of the business and where you're at, like, for example, if you're, again, going back to a football team, right, Harry Kane's the striker, but say we're defending, Harry Kane's role will be less so as a striker. In a business, you might be doing a launch for a new product or a service, right? So, you know, the ideas are there, but once it's launched and you start getting customers in and you want to start, you know, making the service good and productive, the game changer, actually, at that stage, you don't want them in because we just want to execute this thing. We don't need a new idea right yet. But that's that person's role. So it's a very fluid thing. It's understanding that. And when I did this with you and your team, you realize that you got your 3 senior leaders. Is one of the leaders was very much the yellow and the red. Yeah. Right. And then you started to understand, oh, no wonder, because that person is really good at not really good at coming up with ideas, but they're really good once the ideas come up with to make it work.
Yeah.
Right.
And, you know, that again takes the pressure off because we're allowed to work to our strengths. But also one of the things you did, and you might be coming to this, but I thought it was really powerful, both in recruitment, in team management, in appraisals, is that you can actually put somebody's job description or their day-to-day tasks through this and see if they align with their profile.
Yeah. So we use this tool, and there's a bit of AI technology we use. So, for example, you gave me a job spec, and we put it in there, and this job spec shows that this is someone who's a game changer polisher, for example. You get an applicant on the surface, looks good, put that applicant through it, or they're more of a polished implementer. So,
it's brilliant.
So this is not a diagnosis, it's a diagnostic. So you use this in the context of everything else.
It's
so
indicators,
so we use the GC index. It doesn't measure personality, it measures the strength of the individual within the team. And this lends itself to team culture. Because if everybody starts understanding the roles, when you're in meetings, you wonder, why is this person always not listening to me, right? Maybe because let's go back to the thing. Maybe they're not listening because they're coming from an implementer. They want to just get stuff done. They don't want another idea. And there's a push and pull there. Yeah. But then also we do team profile. So we can like we did with you guys, individual profile. And then we say, actually, your team. Yeah. I'll give you an example. I was working in this big security firm. There are 12 in the senior leadership team, and there are 4 in the exec team. And the exec team come up with strategy, and the senior leadership team are actually there to implement. Right. But the senior leadership team fell into wanting to be strategists. So I said, look, let's do this. So we did the GC index profile for the whole team. We then averaged out the senior leadership team, and it came out implement a polisher and low on strategists. And they looked at this. I thought, you know what? You're really good at, once they come up with strategy, making it happen. So stick to that. Don't try and put another idea in there. Yeah, we'll have a discussion about ideas, but your strength is getting it done. So focus on your strength. And by seeing it as a pictorial diagram, they were like, oh, relief.
Yeah, right? It made sense.
They completed the questionnaire. So it wasn't as if like we did some test over here. They answered the questions. So it's their answers that came up with this. So let me just get the next slide. Is that?
Yeah.
Oh no, this is the last slide. I think let's go previous. Yeah. So this is a profile tool I was using with you that if you're looking to how to understand have you got the right people in the right roles, this could be a good tool to use. So let me stop the presentation for now.
Thanks, Baiju. It's so powerful. And again, being on this journey with you, I just felt, I mean, we've just started our journey. We're 3 months in, but, you know, I just felt that creating an environment where my peers, business leaders, business owners, managers can get the benefit of the way that you do it. Because one of the things I think about performance management that is really key is that you often get, you know, the non-believers. No, nothing's gonna change the way I do things. This is who I am, and this is how I've always done it. And that's really hard in a business, because if you want to effect change management, and look, you know, we're a talent consultancy, but ultimately we're about business transformation through people. You know, when businesses hire people, they have to do a bit of change management, because every person that comes in is going to unsettle. So when we bring performance coaches into an organization, or if anyone here is thinking about, you know, oh, I want to do some performance management with my team, you're going to get such a different response from every single person. I think what's really key is understanding, first of all, as you said, Baiju, making it really personal to the individual so they can see it, it's visual, but also is getting that everyone's on a different stage of self-growth and self-awareness. When you start
knowing where they are in that journey, you meet them where they're at, it's easy then to move them forward.
Yeah. And if there is somebody who's a naysayer, who's like, no, I'm not even, this woman is not for changing or turning, you've dealt with them all, right? Yeah. So
I know.
Baiju, we're already 35 minutes in. We've got 10 minutes left. It flies. But I would love to, on the back of that, talk about the last section, which was all around aligning the business values with personal values. Like how, because look, our audience, and we're very lucky that with the main group, we've got half of our world in not-for-profit and charity and half in the commercial world. And I see that as a very advantageous position for us and our customers, because we can help both sectors not only be the best at what they do, but learn from each other as well. Yeah. And actually, the charity world do values so well, right? They do what they do and what they stand for is on the walls, it's in the title. Whereas the corporate world, not so much. So what would you say?
So we can talk about that. And then before we finish off, the last 2 minutes, I want to give people a structure around accountability questioning that sets up that. So I'll do that at the end. So when we talk about business values and personal values, we all have our values, whether it's to relate to family, relate to our life achievements. And then we have a business value, which is what the business stands for. And we were at a talk this morning and they said, a lot of the companies, integrity, honesty, and all these sort of things. And when you think about it, if the very fact that a business has to say that, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Right. So when you look at the values, whatever the values of your business is, ask yourself, the behaviors I'm seeing in my team, do they align with that?
Yeah.
For example, one of my doctrines, what I said with you, is I'm never late. Remember? Yeah. And I say to my clients, I'm never going to be late for a meeting. So all the months that we've been working together, have I ever been late? Never. Whether it's a Zoom call, physical meeting, phone call, whatever it is, right? And then you ask yourself, okay, what does being late look like in terms of a value? Does it show integrity? Does it show a sense of honesty around it? It doesn't. So in your company, ask yourself, when you look at each of your values, what's the behavior you want to see that means that value is being exercised? So when you look at someone's personal value might be empowerment, or want to be challenged, or I'm hardworking. Okay, so tell me the behavior I would be seeing that demonstrates that value.
Yeah.
So give me one of the values of your company.
Guess what? Integrity is ours. Are 4 cornerstones of culture called greatness, integrity, clarity, and energy. So the funniest thing was when this guy said integrity, I kind of went, whoops, but we don't just talk about the word, we talk about what that looks like in our day-to-day behaviors and our day-to-day approaches to the way we partner with and take care of our clients, our candidates, our internal customers. So we bring it to life.
Good.
It's not just a word.
And the key there, where it comes to real life, is the first moment it's not showing, you have to challenge.
Yeah.
Right, you have to challenge, because if you sort of, you allow the excuse, and this goes back to the accountability, right?
Yeah.
And I get a structure of accountability. So when someone says, how do you align business values with personal values? Well, ask your business, when you look at a business value, what does the behavior we're looking for? So one of yours is greatness, yeah?
Yeah.
So what if I was a fly on the wall and greatness was being exercised, what's the behavior I would see?
Well, it would be about wanting to give an exceptional experience to any of your customers. So it would be that if we're meeting with one of our clients and understanding their organization, it wouldn't just be doing a sort of whistle stop, but it would be really getting under the skin and being able to demonstrate that we've listened, we've understood, and we've immersed ourselves in your world. So I think showing your intention and showing that you've listened is your greatness, rather than just being
absolutely.
A bit
so the other thing I would say is, I talk about the dots and the dashes, right? And the dots are everything that we do. We're a senior leader, or we're a middle manager, or whatever, recruiter, whatever it is, and how we show up. And we've got a customer, and what I need to do is make sure I'm professional, I turn up on time, I give them value, blah blah blah. But where the values really show up in the dashes is, what do you do in between the meetings? How do you show up when you're going for lunch? How do you, when you approach your desk and you've got a colleague there, what's your demeanor? When you're communicating to your client in between meetings, what does it look like? If you say, I'm going to get that information to you by 2:00 Wednesday, and you don't till Thursday, and you say, oh, I got busy. Oh, I know I would. So it's setting expectations.
Yeah,
so
that's not great.
Where the value sharp really is in the dashes. is
is
the
in the in
in-between bit.
between.
Because
Yeah.
we think we want to be measured by what we do. But ask yourself this question, is think about a leader. Is the leaders that you remember, is the ones you remember is, oh, how do they make me feel in between the stuff? You know, the leader you remember is not the one that stood up and gave you a great induction talk. The leader you remember is the one who asked you, how are you today? Oh, you frozen, Mita. Is Mita frozen? I'm there. Am I on my own? Can I see people in the chat? Okay, am I still live? Oh, can somebody who's watching, can you just put a little emoji that you can hear me? Because Mita's just frozen and I can't see her, but I'm still going to carry on talking just in case you guys can see me. So in the chat, can you just give me a thumbs up whether you can hear me? No, she is frozen. Can you hear me, James? Give me a thumbs up. Can anybody hear me still? If you can hear me, then I'll just carry on talking. We can hear. Fantastic. Right. I'll just carry on talking. So it's understanding the behaviors. We're carrying on. You're the one who froze. We're carrying on. Look,
I'm back. I'm
that's
so
great.
sorry. Can you
that's
hear
right,
me now?
right. Yeah, that's all good. That's all good. You froze a minute.
Good.
You froze. Everybody.
My apologies.
That's fine. So the first thing about aligning business values is look at the behaviors that would demonstrate to you the value, and then say, okay, do the behaviors align, right? And look at the dashes. How do people show up in between the do and the do?
Yeah.
Right, because we want to. It's like the doctor. The doctor you like most is the one who has the best bedside manner.
Yeah.
Not the one with the most letters after their name.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
The teacher that you remember is not the most intelligent. It's the one that looked at you and cared.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So so how you're measured is by the dashes and not the dots, and that's how values truly show up. It's like when you dating, right? Is how does that person treat the waiter?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. Does that make sense?
So often when we're interviewing or our clients have a candidate come in, they'll often get comments from reception about how gracious the candidate was when they came to say, I've arrived. And so that is already, think about it the other way. Oh, that candidate was so rude. They're never going to get a job in that organization. So it really is. I love that. And that when we talked about my micro goal and about following up and doing the emails and the next touch base and having that all diarized, that I suppose is sort of put two of your areas together. But it's such small adjustments as well, which I love about what you do, is we don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's real small adjustments that I remember you said that nobody will actually notice that, oh, Mita does this now or does that now, but they will just notice that Mita seems more present, more winning, more upbeat, and
think about it is when we're not winning outside of me, oh, Mita's doing great, she's great. But if you need yourself something's not working out right, or you've had some bad news, and then we're not self-aware, it comes out in our communication demeanor. Yeah. Right. So we think we're being professional. Whereas if you say, what can I control that I allow myself to win every day? That means that when I have adversity, because we're all going to have adversity and bad news, this webinar will end. I guarantee that people will go to the email. There'll be one email they don't want, or there'll be some bad news. It's how because if you're winning the day, the response to that bad news is going to be much more productive than even not having a good day. Yeah. So you can control how to have a good day. I know we've got a couple of minutes left. I really want to finish off with, if people got pen and paper, this is where you want to write something down. I'm going to give you 3 questions that set up a great accountability culture as a starting point. So, and I'll give you a typical example is whereby, let's say you've got a team meeting on a Monday, right? And you've got senior leaders doing the things and there's certain projects going on. And you say, okay, and somebody says, right, can you deliver that on a Thursday? Yep, I can get that thing to you on a Thursday. Invariably, you go about your work and then it's not delivered, not because there's bad intentions, is something came up, or they got busy, or they forgot, or if I give it on Friday, it won't matter. And then one time, it won't make an impact. But if that's repeated, all of a sudden the bottleneck and the ripple impact of the third party might be great. So a great question to ask, especially in senior leadership teams, is, will you be able to do that on Thursday? Yeah, no problem. Right. Can I just make sure, is there anything currently in your diary that when you look at your diary may prevent you delivering that thing on Thursday? Yeah. They look at it. Actually, no, Tuesday's right, Wednesday, I'm out, but no, I should be. No reason. Okay. Second question, is there anything I could do right now to help you ensure you get that thing to me on Thursday? Right. And what you're doing there is they must actually, do you know there is? I've got to deliver that for Tom. Could you speak to Tom about this? Because then it's clear, because he might ask me that. Oh, and then there's an open discussion, right? Yeah. So you're asking them right now to eliminate the excuse they may give you on Thursday.
Yeah.
By looking at their current diary. And the second thing is you're saying, I'm empowering you. The third thing is this, which is most important. Life happens, right? Stuff happens.
Yeah.
So on the Monday, there's the full intention of delivering the thing on Thursday, but something occurs on Tuesday or Wednesday, which means, right, I can't now. At that point, there's a commitment to be in communication, right? It's not a fait accompli, and it's not by email. In communication means there needs to be an exchange, not say, I've sent an email, hopefully they see it, and no, I can't do it on Thursday. No. There's got to be a tangible communication, and it's not a one-way, listen, something's come up, I can't do that Thursday. The conversation needs to be, right, this has come up. At this moment, I don't think I can do that Thursday. Can we have a discussion about whether I could deliver another time or whatever? So sometimes we might think that it's a one-way street, but the person who wants it might say, actually, do you know what? Thinking about it, I don't actually need it Thursday, so don't worry about it. Get that done. Friday's okay. Or they might say, no, it's mission critical. Yeah. If I don't get that Thursday, I can't do that Friday.
Yeah, so reprioritize.
A discussion of what a priority is.
Yeah.
If you create a culture whereby you when you say you're going to do something, you're going to do something. But if something occurs, that means you can't do it. You are in communication. You don't assume and try and get shoehorn it in. So one of my mantras, I have 3 mantras: never late, never complain, always do what I say what I do. And the reason I do that, I manage no's and I manage expectations. So in my team, I say to them, there's only 2 things you've got to do for me. You manage my expectations and you be in communication. Yeah. If the thing's not done, that's not the concern. It's about what's the reason it's not got done. Is it because you're not in communication? Because invariably when they are in communication and there's they're managing my expectations, the results looks after themselves.
Yeah. Well, we have a question from the room which asks about tracking productivity effectively for somebody who's a remote worker.
Right. Okay. So 2 things there, Mahesh. There's loads of tools out there where we use Trello, Monday, Asana, right? But a tool is only as good as how you use it, right? So there's got to be a commitment before a task. You say, okay, what is productivity? Is it delivering on certain tasks? Is it number of phone calls this person's made? Yeah. Is it writing certain reports? So both of you discuss, what does success look like?
Yeah.
So your success, Mahesh, might be, I want, I don't know, the report on the 10 calls you've made, for example, right? Mm. They think success is you just want to know if someone said yes. Do you get it? Yeah. And also understand accountability is employees often want to be held accountable on their inputs. How many hours they've done, how many calls they've made, how many meetings they've attended. Yeah. Whereas as the leader, we want to hold them accountable on their outputs. Yeah. So don't confuse the conversation that where productivity fails is you're both measuring something different. Yeah. And there's a misalignment in what success looks like. So if you have that conversation, then you set the tasks. You're on the way
same page.
Productivity.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. Mahesh, let us know if that made sense for you. And
Mahesh, give me a thumbs up or a sad face if it didn't, or give me your favorite emoji if it did, Mahesh. All right, what's your favorite emoji?
We're waiting
my favorite emojis are flame. So if you give me a flame, that will make me even more happy. But whatever emoji, come on, Mahesh, we're on tenterhooks. Everybody's waiting for you, Mahesh. Give me your emoji.
No, he's not playing. Baiju.
Oh, thumbs up.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant.
Thank you, Mahesh.
You know what? We are out of time, Baiju. I feel like we've just scratched the surface. So I definitely think there's a part 2 coming for this one. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to quickly let you know the poll results. Accountability, productivity, and team culture, all even. Equal, all even, and senior leadership slightly behind. So I'm going to end that poll and let everyone see the results for themselves. But I think, Baiju, you absolutely pulled all of that together today in such a short space of time as well. So thank you so much. We've definitely
got a gift for everybody. I don't know whether people got the gift on the. Let me just say, I don't know if I saw it in here. Well, there's my contact details anyway. Yes. But we gave everybody a gift. I can put the link in the chat. Shall I do that?
Please, that would be great, Baiju. Thank you. So Baiju has very kindly given everyone something to take away with them today. So
I've written several books, but if you go to that link and put in your details, you can download the free PDFs for all the books. So the first book is called Change the Game, and Change the Game is about a lot of what I talked about today. Yeah. The second book is called Play Your Game, which is about once you've changed, you want to go out there and play. But when you play, you're not always going to win. So the Play Your Game is about how do you stay on top of your A game.
Yeah.
And the last book is called Win Your Game, and that's a 90-day planner to help you implement the stuff in the first two.
Baiju, you've been amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. We're going to have to say bye for now, but we hope to see you all again at the next main event very soon. Thanks all. Cheers, Baiju.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.